Good morning, David.
Good morning, Nadira.
Is risk appetite related to age or gender?
The answer is yes, but the relationship is quite complex. So if we take age first, risk appetite is your drive to take risk, how much you're prepared to take risk, how much risk you're comfortable with. And it drives your attitude to risk, whether you choose to be risk-seeking and take a lot of risk, or whether you choose to be risk-averse and avoid risk. And then that attitude determines your behavior in terms of actually how much risk you take in practice. So let's take age. Do young people take more or less risk than older people? Babies and young children take a lot of risk because they're not aware. Yeah. So they will, if they see a fire and it's shiny and the flames are moving, they'll reach out and try and touch it. They don't understand that you go over the road and a car might be coming. You just want to go over the road and you don't understand.
Yes.
So often they take a huge amount of risk, but completely unaware. You also find with younger children, they want to climb trees and they want to play, they want to fight maybe or play games together. And we're constantly having to just protect them from themselves because they want to take a lot of risk. And then as they get a little bit more mature and older and they understand the consequences of their actions, maybe we find that young adults are a little bit more sensible. Not always. Sometimes we make very bad choices and take a lot of risk. But generally, we're more sensible as young adults than perhaps as children because we're more aware. But then what happens when we start to get older and more mature? We talk often about older and wiser. And wisdom is the ability to apply your knowledge and experience to make better decisions in unfamiliar circumstances. It's the ability to take existing knowledge and apply it to new situations. So does that mean you will take less risk because you're getting older and older? So children take a lot of risk, young adults take less risk. Do older people take very little risk at all? Maybe there is some of that, but also there's the question of understanding yourself, having a clear sense of identity, knowing what you're good at and what you're not so good at. So maybe you can take more risk, but take it safely because you understand the limits of your capability and your competence. Maybe we now have less to lose because I'm now 65, I'm only going to live for another 10 or 15 years. I may as well enjoy myself and jump out of planes and skydive and try a little bit of scuba diving and maybe go and do some more interesting sports. Yes. So I've got less to lose, less time to pack it in, and maybe I'll take more risk. So we have the situation in older age where you are more aware of yourself and your circumstances and your capabilities, and maybe that will make you more cautious, but you also might find people who don't want to miss out and they're prepared in their last years to take more risk. So there is an influence, but it's not absolutely clear what it is. And of course we've got the overlay of culture, which we talked about earlier on. In some societies, older people are expected to be quiet and mature and respectful and wise and not to go skydiving and bungee jumping. And in other nations, if you're old, you're free of responsibilities, you just go and have fun. Yes. So that's quite different, and probably both of those are extremes. What about gender? Are men more risk-seeking than women, or the other way around? I don't think you can be that prescriptive about it. It's not that there are two types of human beings and they are completely different. Clearly, women and men have different preferences, have different roles in society, have different characteristics and personalities, and these things will drive the amount of risk that they're able to take, depending on what's allowed for them to do in a society or what their personal preferences are. But I think you find the full spectrum of risk-seeking, risk avoidance across women of all nations and also across men of all nations. So the influence of gender, again, there are stereotypes that you would expect to say, well, maybe men are more adventurous and women stay at home and are less adventurous. I don't know that still holds and is really true. And I think the stereotypes often are unhelpful in terms of setting expectations. So with gender, I think it's much less clear. But certainly with age, there is an influence, but the older you get, the more complex that influence becomes. It's a very interesting area, and I think some more research will be very helpful.
Thank you, David, very much. That was very useful, and hopefully our viewers will find it useful as well.
I hope so too. Thank you.